Oh, I see. Okay, at 6:07, I'm going to call the meeting to order. So I'm going to begin with a land acknowledgement. Medicine Hat Police Service honors and acknowledges that we are situated on Treaty 7 and Treaty 4 territory, traditional lands of the Siksika, Blackfoot, Kainai, Blood, Piikani, Pagan, Stoney Nakoda, Tututsu, Sarsi, as well as the Cree, Sioux, and the Saulteaux bands of the Ojibwa peoples. We also acknowledge that we are on the traditional homelands of the Métis Nation. At this time, I would like to ask any commission member participating in this committee meeting to advise the chair if they have any perceived or known conflict of interest as per the items listed in the agenda for the meeting. This will be noted in the minutes. All right. So the first item on the agenda is FOIP matters, A. Oh, why did she give me this? I have the wrong one. There we go. Thank you. That's closed. Okay, do we have any additions to the agenda? Seeing none, could I get a motion to pass the agenda as presented? Councillor Hirsch, and seconded. Just 1 second. I lost my stuff here. Okay, has everyone had a chance to read the minutes of the open meeting? I'll just give you a chance. Can I get a motion to pass a minute? Any? Thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Sir, Commissioner Sir. Okay, standing items. The first item is the police budget update. So I'll turn it over to Chief Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to report that we have a negative variance projected at year end currently, still monitoring that monthly, and we'll continue to report to the Commission on it through to year end.
Thank you. Next is the AAPG report, and that's me. So I have a number of items to report. First item is the online course for the AAPG members. That's all members. Last time I mentioned this, it has not been updated, and they've been trying to work on the bugs from the technology side, but the content is not yet updated. The ministry always wants to host the site, and they have gone through 3 different providers since the inception in 2017. The AAPG offered to take over the hosting and the registration because some people were complaining about the time it took to get registered and are not getting registered at all after requesting. The ministry declined the offer and said they would step up their end. And so the most recent provider transition has allowed them to edit the site, which is how the changes and the updates will be made. And the first step in planning for the changes are coming. Because it is dated, for a while the ministry was not offering it, but the AAPG got it rebooted in 2022 because something is better than nothing for new commissioners. Just on a personal note, I started retaking the course. I did some of it when I became a commissioner. And I'm finding it very useful. I like how the modules can be done on your own time. The recommended time is an hour or two. I find that it takes maybe half an hour, 45 minutes to do a module. They're very short and manageable. And as part of the upcoming AAPG certification from the strategic plan, it will include the requirement to complete the modules for all commission members. So it might be something, if you're interested, shoot me an email and I will make sure that you get on and registered for the course. The second one is, you all should have received in your mailbox the Alberta Interim Police Advisory Board communique. Makes for some light reading. It's quite interesting. It was mailed out yesterday. Did everyone get it to your mailboxes? It outlines the history of the Alberta Interim Police Advisory Board, the board benefits and challenges, and provides a history of the police funding model, as well as an overview of the Police Act amendments. The third thing to report is yesterday the members of the AAPG met with Shadow Cabinet Minister for Public Safety and Emergency Services, that's David Shepherd. He requested the meeting with the AAPG to become more informed about the workings and any notes concerning, things to concern. The AAPG Chair, Ian Sanderson, the ED, Victoria Chester, and myself met with him yesterday afternoon. It was online for Victoria and myself. Ian met with David in Edmonton. There were some concerns outlined in that meeting. The last item to report there is a virtual meeting with the Assistant Deputy Minister in Public Safety and Emergency Services and the Director of Law Enforcement will take place on Friday, November 1st at 1:30. There was a link sent out to everybody. If you lost the link, you should have got an email today just reminding you of that possibility of participating in that meeting. Any questions on the report? Okay, could I have a motion to accept my report as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. Councillor Dumanowski, second. Thank you. Commissioner, sir. Office of the Chief, Operational Services Report. Inspector, thank you.
Thank you. From the Operational Services Report, just a few things to highlight. One you'll see on page 9. I think you revised that Constable JP Guerrero has returned from his training up in Edmonton, but we've had him for about a month now, and you'll see in our stats that they're going up significantly since he's returned. So we're looking forward to having him back. That puts us at 2 dog teams now in with the police service. So he's breaking his new dog and getting used to working in Medicine Hat rather than Edmonton. So we're happy to have him back. Just a quick mention on the SROs. They're back right up to full speed as they were prior to the summer break. They've said they have seen what they feel is a significant increase in some of the support services that they're doing for the students and some of their family members. Numerous contacts with students regarding, vaping, bullying, minor thefts, relationships amongst peers, some parking and driving issues with families getting used to that again, and then obviously peer-to-peer conflicts. Finally, or not finally, sorry, one more. Our forensic identification unit attended a significant break and enter that we had here in town. And the investigators had kind of been moving throughout the area trying to find the suspect, which was of current concern to the responding members. When the FIU forensic identification unit member attended, he actually located which was a blood trail leading away from the residence, and it was certainly nothing that was very obvious. It was minute in detail, but it ended up being followed for almost 2 blocks, at which time we were able to determine the residence where the suspect was in. Made a successful arrest there, a quick apprehension, and it led to some DNA testing and results to work on that file, which was definitely serious in nature. And then just finally on the last one, municipal bylaw, which does all our document service and subpoena services. Always difficult, obviously, to locate people on their own time. They've started using our records management system to track their successes on these document services, their attempts that they've made, and maybe any that have been canceled, and it's it's real-time information for them. So they've seen a real success with just September alone had 118 documents served. So that's big for just a couple people in our bylaw section that are all trying to locate people for document service, usually court subpoenas for the most part. That's all I have for operational services.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, moving on then to Investigation and Support Services Report. Inspector West.
Thank you. Just a couple of things to report. From our criminal investigation section, particularly the Major Crimes Unit, followed up on an investigation initially responded to by patrols on September 7th. This involved a group of youths near the Medicine Hat Mall and having an altercation with an adult male. During the time, the adult male waved what appeared to be a gun at them, of course causing some alarm. We didn't get the patrols, took that investigation as far as they could. Major Crimes took it over, and after a few days managed to track it down to a 43-year-old Medicine Hat man who was in charge. When they arrested him, he did have in his possession a BB gun. But it's important to note, and I've said it many times in this venue, the replica guns now, the BB guns, the airsoft guns, they're, until you actually examine them, a few inches away, it's very, it's impossible to tell them from real firearms. So a very alarming and difficult call. However, our Major Crimes was great at following up, and we made the arrest. That person was charged with several offenses, including possession of a weapon dangerous to the public and failing to comply with a release order. On that same note, our Major Crimes on a completely independent or a different investigation. We're following up at a hotel on Red Cliff Drive, and during their inquiries on that other investigation, they noticed what appeared to be a sawed-off shotgun inside the room. They tactfully seized that and arrested the people who were in possession of it. Again, sawed-off shotgun, very dangerous, obviously used for, not used for bird hunting, that's for sure. And they ended up charging a 51-year-old man with possession of a weapon dangerous to the public, unauthorized possession of a weapon, unauthorized possession of a restricted firearm, given that they'd shortened the barrel, careless use and storage, so all kinds of charges with that one. So just to highlight the number of firearms that we, and replicas that we're encountering. On page 17, just moving over to the alert, the organized crime section. This one did appear as a news media release. 39-year-old Medicine Hat man was arrested after a lengthy investigation involving his involvement with firearms and drugs. The conclusion of the investigation, 12 firearms were seized. One of them has turned out to be stolen, and that team is looking to source those other firearms. A firearm suppressor, so that's a prohibited device that's used to suppress the muzzle flash and noise of a firearm, again, only used by criminals. Cocaine, methamphetamine, fentanyl, cash, scales and packaging material for the drugs. And so that person has been arrested, charged accordingly, and has been thankfully remanded for 90 days. And just lastly, on page 18, just a training highlight really. We had 6 members of our crisis negotiator team attend the conference in Calgary that featured speakers from Seattle Police, FBI, and Peel Regional Police. So we do like to invest in our crisis negotiators. So generally we have a couple, there's 6 of them. We try and have them distributed on the patrol team. So when there are times when their skills are needed, they're incredibly pragmatic to have them on there. And so we'll have them talk to people who are put themselves into dangerous situations, suicidal ideation, these types of things. So they go to this conference once a year. They do a number of scenarios. They see speakers. So it's really a great conference and a really great investment. Some of our highest profile calls, our crisis negotiator team in the background is really sort of saving the day in some respects. So that's all I have for my report.
Thank you, Inspector West. Any questions for? Yes, Councillor Dumanowski.
Thank you through the chair. Inspector West, so thank you for the report and covering off some of the items. Obviously, some relative theme to firearms, not in particular new, but some relevance in today's reporting or this month's reporting. I know the chief did a great news briefing, and probably your team as well, with the news, Medicine News a few weeks ago. Just to clarify, then, these weapons you had indicated in one case stolen. Just generally speaking, if you can pull that off your head, do you find that the weapons are typically, if not almost certainly stolen, or are these lawfully owned weapons that have been modified, obviously without intention to be caught, but are subsequently and happily caught because that's good for, makes it for a safer community? But what are the trends around weapons, seizures, stolen, lawfully owned but modified at the will of the owner? Just if you have a general comment around that.
Yeah, just some general thoughts. Certainly, we encounter different types of firearms. I think pistols, if we have like handguns, they're more likely to be reported stolen because they are a restricted weapon. When it comes to unregistered, unrestricted weapons, people, I think, are hesitant to report them stolen because they've been unlawfully stored or they were handed down from a relative and they don't have their PAL. And so they think that they're going to get in trouble from the police by reporting it. And our first questions is going to be about, storage and proper licensing and so forth. And really, we're more interested on the number of guns we have out there. So a lot of times when we have, for example, the modified sawed-off shotgun, we didn't find a source for that. It's not stolen. We don't know where it came from. It's never been registered because there's no registry. It's been, chopped down and modified, and there's lots of guns like that out there. So I would say the exception to the rule is to find a stolen gun. More commonly, we just don't know where they came from. We destroy hundreds of them a year that we seize and come across in all different types of investigations, from these types of complaints to others more, public safety, and then guns that are turned into us. People come across them. They're cleaning out our relative's house and they come across a stash of guns. So they come from all types, all walks. But I would say the majority of the ones that we recover are, either unrestricted weapons in their proper form or chopped down, like we talked about in the sawed-off shotgun.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to, thank you, Inspector West, the Chief's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's a list of activities that myself and other members of the Office of the Chief were involved in last month. If you have any questions, happy to answer them. Otherwise, I won't reiterate the list, but happy to answer questions if you have.
Okay, seeing no questions, thank you, Chief. New business. It doesn't look like we have any new business, so we're going to move on to the section on community consultation. And before we go into that, I'm just going to read this statement. We are now going to move to public consultation portion of the meeting. I would ask that any member of the public who is present raise your hand if you would like to ask a question or have a comment you'd like to share. To ensure fairness, each member of the public will be given 2 minutes to ask their questions or share comments. Any questions or comments will be directed toward the chair of the Police Commission, or in tonight's case, myself, the Vice Chair, who may ask the police service to respond. Please note that complaints about officer conduct and MHPS policies are not topics for this forum, as there is a process under the Alberta Police Act for such matters. Also, ongoing investigations and personnel matters are not to be discussed in open meetings as per the provisions set out in the Alberta Police Act. Any questions? Okay, seeing none. Upcoming meetings. The Police Commission open meeting will be Wednesday, November the 20th, at 2024 at 6 p.m. And the Police Commission open meeting for December will be Wednesday, December 18th, 2024 at 6 p.m. And that's all we have on the agenda for tonight. Could I get a motion to close? Thank you, Commissioner Robles. Second, do we need a seconder? Okay, thank you.